What's up, sports fans? Welcome to the Sports Opinions podcast. I'm your host, as always, Alex Cuesta, and it's good to be here. It's fun. I love doing this thing, and I love doing it because I have people that support me and pretty decent people, contrary to what most people say about them. But there's a guy you've heard on here that's with me today. He's been on here a bunch of times. He's guest hosted with K-Doc. He was supposed to write on the blog, and then he just kind of never did that. I don't know why he doesn't have the time. He's in college. But it's my buddy, Matt Santos. What's up, Matt?
Nothing much, Alex. My name's Matt. I go to George Washington University. I like sports. My Instagram's @Santos_. If you're a girl, you should really follow. If you're a boy,
Oh, my God.
But not allowed.
I mean, it's allowed. Anything's allowed. It's fun here. Listen, you're allowed to have your preferences. We are not discriminating in any way at the Sports Opinions podcast.
Not today.
No, not today.
Or ever.
So if anyone's ever heard Santos do the podcast, he's very quick to get angry, which is awesome. I think he's dropped the most word douchebag in the history of any podcast of all time when him and K-Doc did the podcast. I think he called every single person a douchebag about the fan bases. So I'm going to let him be angry right away with this first question that he's not ready for. So you're a Knicks fan, right?
Yeah.
How badly do you want Jimmy Butler in a trade?
Not at all. I don't want him at all.
Why not? All right, so it's no doubt that Jimmy Butler's talented, right? He's a good two-way player, plays defense, can score. People compare him to Melo. I don't think he's the ball stopper Melo is.
He is not Melo.
He's not the ball stopper that Melo is. I think he's more of a team player than him. But what about him don't you want?
His personality. He's selfish. He really gave it to Fibs this time. I mean, Fibs did nothing wrong, if anything. That's the reason he's there. And, it's because he doesn't like Andrew Wiggins? I mean, what's he doing out here?
I mean, yeah, it's a little bit of that situation. I don't get it. He wanted out of the Bulls because he saw that they weren't the team they were. I didn't blame him for wanting out of the Bulls at the times that he did.
They were a train wreck.
Exactly, and he was the lone superstar. He had to do. There's only one LeBron James, and LeBron James is the only man that can take an awful sorry team, put him on his back, and bring him to the finals. There's no other superstar in the world that can do that. And Jimmy was feeling that pressure, and he couldn't do it. So I couldn't blame him for wanting out there. Situation in Minnesota is pretty damn good. You have a legitimate superstar in Karl Anthony Towns. You have a good star in Andrew Wiggins, who's getting better every year. Derrick Rose is looking like himself more and more. Taj Gibson is there. You're used to him. I think it's stupid for him to want out. He has a very comfortable situation in Minnesota.
Yeah, he does. I mean, I don't see why you would leave. You have the point guard. You have the helping cast. You have Karl Anthony Towns. You didn't even mention him.
That's right. Yeah, I guess he's a superstar in Cat. Karl Anthony Towns.
I misheard you.
You're just so angry at this question because I didn't tell you it was going to happen at all. You just kind of blacked out.
I mean, no. I just don't like Jimmy Butler at the end of the day.
So if the Knicks were looking to trade and they were wanting to get him, what would you be willing to give for Jimmy Butler? Courtney Lee, Frank Ntilikina, they're definitely dudes that are in play.
Courtney Lee, but they don't want Courtney Lee. They want too much though. What do they want? A first rounder, a veteran, a young player?
I can't blame him.
Bench help.
I can't blame him for wanting a lot for Jimmy Butler. You're going to get as much as you can for a guy like him.
What are we going to give him? We're not going to give him Knox.
You guys don't have many assets. That's the unfortunate part. You don't have that many assets to give besides Knox and Frank and KP, and KP's going nowhere.
Hey, they could take Trey Burke.
Nobody wants Trey Burke. Even though Knicks fans thought he was the second coming because he scored 20 points in a game last season and he played point guard. No one else played point guard that year.
20's good for him.
20, yeah. But, okay, so now I'm done pissing you off. I might piss you off some more. That's always the goal when I have Santos on, to get him angry. He didn't rant there. It's kind of disappointing. We're going to go on to something that's fun. Both of us agree. We're both Yankees fans. They've been heartless over the last end of this season. They've had injuries. They've seemed like a dull lineup. The bullpen has not been reliable, which is easily still the best in baseball. Starters have been flat. Everybody except for one man who last night single-handedly may have energized this team, and if they win a championship, we're going to look at this moment. CC Sabathia. All right, so I'm going to paint the picture for anyone that doesn't know. The Yankees are playing the Rays. CC inadvertently, I think it was like Bauer or someone he plucked on the hand. The guy was going to swing. The ball got a little bit away, hit the hand. It was a no harm, no foul, typical hit batter. Very next inning, the Rays pitcher throws up and in fastball at Austin Romine as a retaliation, which is some of the bullshit in baseball. That's how childish they are. CC walked out of the bullpen, started chirping at the pitcher, chirping at the Rays. It was almost, they both sides got warned for it. So you knew, okay, the inning ends. If CC comes out there and even throws the ball inside, he's probably going to get tossed. So what does CC Sabathia do? First friggin' pitch, throws a mid-speed fastball right in the thigh of Sucre, who is, he had nothing to do with the issue, but he threw it. He hit him the best way you could hit him. Knew he was going to get tossed. Huh?
He's a catcher, so eye for an eye.
He knew he was going to get tossed. CC did it. Looked at the Rays' the whole entire bench, grabbed his crotch, was yelling obscenities, walked off into the sunset, and I'll put this out there that maybe people don't know. He was 2 innings shy from getting a $500,000 incentive. Now, I know the guy's made...
He was two-thirds in the inning.
Two-thirds, so even closer. So I know the guy's made like $200 million in his career, but for anyone to scoff at $500,000, you're an idiot. That's important money to anybody. I don't care how much money you've made. So he lost that money, and very well, this could be his last pitch in pinstripes. He's not the third starter. We don't know if they're going to go 4 deep in the playoffs or if they're going to use him in the pen because the bullpen is super deep. So very well, he could have thrown his last pitch. Santos, is he the biggest bro in sports right now?
I don't know if he's the biggest bro in sports. I mean, Travis Kelce's a bro, that's for sure.
He is.
But yeah, I couldn't blame Sabathia. There was no reason to throw it at Romine, and his head nonetheless. And why he's throwing at a guy's head? This is what we got to get rid of in baseball. There's nothing wrong. You break a broken rule, you get hit. That's the end of the day. But we're not here to throw at guys' heads.
Yeah, I think if pitchers are allowed to throw at heads, then guys are allowed to charge with bats. Because it's the same thing. You're using your weapon, and it's not like pitchers are throwing high 80s like they used to. Most guys are mid-90s, upper 90s. And you're throwing that at somebody's head? Like, you want to talk about head injuries, that's death. If it connects, you could die easily.
Yeah, 100. It's not safe.
No, it's not safe. There's nothing safe about it. And I think there should be no warnings. If you intentionally throw at someone's head, miss or not, you're out of the game and you'd be suspended. You should be suspended a few games for that. That should be... Like I said, I don't mind the hitting guys' retaliation. I still think it's baby back bullshit because I think baseball players, their unwritten rules are basically all stupid. But if you're going to do it and you're going to throw at someone, do it the right way. CC did it the right way. In the thigh, not all of his speed on it, no harm, no foul. He just sent the message. That's a veteran, that's a pro.
Well, he's also a veteran. He's been around the block.
Now, would you be sad or would you be pumped if that was CC's last pitch? How would that make you feel?
No, I don't think it's his last pitch at all.
You think they're going 4 deep in the playoffs?
He's definitely coming out of the pen at least once. I can't imagine him not pitching in the playoffs.
I mean, it's tough because that pen is deep, and you brought up a lot of kids down there for him. Here's a good question. Is Sonny Gray making that roster?
No.
You think that he's just not going to be on the postseason roster?
I mean, we don't need him. Lance Lynn can do whatever he does.
Yeah, Lance Lynn.
Arguably, he's been more reliable.
Oh, Lance Lynn has 100% been much more reliable, and even I think Louis Sessa is still more reliable too. Even though he gets hit, he's better than Sonny Gray.
Louis Sessa is awful.
He is. He's terrible, but that just goes to show how bad Sonny Gray is.
He just looks lost out on the mound.
And it's sad because
be there.
I think it's the big market. Some guys just can't pitch in a big market. In the A's, he was a good pitcher because there was no pressure. The Yankees,
but he also got hurt. He had Tommy John.
But also you know what though? In the A's, there's no pressure. In the Yankees, every pitch, Yankees, Mets, Boston, Dodgers, these big markets, every single pitch is scrutinized. And I don't know if he's prepared for that. Like, I don't think he's built for that. There's certain guys that aren't. Randy Johnson was a decent pitcher for the Yankees. He was not built for the lights. You know what I mean?
But he was also at the tail end of his career.
That's true. That's true. But he still was supposed to be able to throw like 70,000 million miles an hour.
Yeah.
All right, so my main question to you is the Yankees are in a pretty good dilemma. They've known they've had the wild card locked up, at least some version of the wild card, for a few months now. Aaron Boone has been able to switch up the rotation to kind of give guys off days to fit who he wants to start for the wild card, barring any injuries or things like that. A lot of fans I know are clamoring for J.A. Happ, who has been probably the best pitcher besides Tanaka after the All-Star break. Tanaka's doing what Tanaka does after the break. Would you rather see... All right, I'll phrase it this way. Out of the big three who have pitched the best, which is Severino, who's picking it up, Tanaka, who's been our best pitcher after the break, and Happ, who's been really good, would you rather see pitching that wild card? And remember, we brought in Happ to beat the Red Sox, and he's done his job every time he's pitched against the Red Sox. So how would you set it up for the wild card and then game one if we win?
Tanaka.
You don't trust Severino?
No, I don't. Because when Severino has a bad night, he gives up 6 runs. When Tanaka has a bad night, he gives up 2 home runs.
I think more of the factor for me is Severino is still young, and this is kind of the CC factor for me. Severino's still young, so when he gives it up, he snowballs. He really doesn't regain control, and you got to get him out by the 3rd or 4th. Tanaka's a veteran, and CC's famous for this. He doesn't do it as much anymore, but in CC's heyday, up to maybe 3 years ago, he will give up 5 runs in the first and lose a game by going 7 innings, 6 and buckle down, only throw like 105 pitches, lose it 6-3. You could still keep him in the game because you knew he wasn't going to lose it completely. Tanaka has that.
Tanaka has the stronger mentality too.
Yeah,
out of all 3 pitchers.
We also forget Tanaka's a veteran. He's pitched for God knows how long, coming from Japan and everything.
But I mean, these Japanese players, they think differently. Nothing bothers them.
No, not at all.
You look at Severino on the mound, you would never see Tanaka. You're lucky if you see Tanaka smile on that mound.
And Tanaka's a dude where it's like, oh, I should get surgery on my elbow. I'm going to pitch 3 years instead. Like, are you serious?
Yeah.
Like, he probably should have gotten surgery when he came to the Yankees. And he was just like, I could still throw just fine.
He got hurt his first year.
Yeah, and he doesn't care. He doesn't care, and he's still pretty damn dominant every second half of the year. All right, so
I would definitely pitch him.
So you're pitching Tanaka the wild card. Now, that brings you up with the situation. Will you go Severino game 1 or Happ game 1 if you reach Boston?
Happ, Severino, Tanaka again.
So you're putting Severino as your 3rd starter right now.
No, I just think we need to get a win against Boston.
Okay, well, Severino, I think he had one bad outing and one unbelievable outing against Boston at the beginning of the season where he basically shut them down. But that's when he was looking like a Cy Young shoo-in. I don't know. This is a tough one. This is tough because Severino is the better pitcher than Happ. Happ is just more consistent. So it's weird.
Well, Happ's stats against Boston, just 1 second.
Oh, they're insane. For a guy that's basically, he's lived in the AL East his whole career, so these stats are as true as anybody else's.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why, I think even me and you were against initially picking up J.A. Happ for the reason that we wanted a bigger name. But it's like now that he's been here, he's a pretty damn good pickup. He's done his job.
Yeah, he definitely has. It hasn't been bad at all.
And if Tanaka could be the ace like he usually is in the playoffs, then Happ is a perfect role guy that's going to win games in the playoffs.
We have as good as any 3 pitchers going.
And again, the veteran presence of CC, if you just need a win, God, if it's game 5, 2-2, I would love to see CC in that game because you know he's not going to fold. You know he's not going to fold and the whole bullpen's on deck, so if he gets in trouble, you yank him. But you know he's going to come out there and give you a chance.
Realistically, I'm only worried about Sale. Ursello, he has a lot of run support. I mean, that's why he won the Cy Young. And
you tell me you're not scared of David Price? He pitches so well against the Yankees.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm so scared of David Price.
I wish this was softball and the pitcher goes like 8 games in a row, so we could see Price every game.
Yeah.
All right, so you would line it up. What you were looking up Hap's stats against Boston?
I couldn't find him.
You couldn't find them? That's fine. I think there's something insane. I think he's like 12-2. It's ridiculous. His ERA is like sitting around 2 against Boston. They throw the stat around on the fan all the time, so I pay attention to it for the most part.
Yeah.
All right. So you would go Tanaka, then Hap, then Severino. That's if Tanaka wins the game against the wild card. That's a pretty interesting thing.
Yeah.
Another question is run support. The Yankees, if they're hitting the home run, they're awesome. But if they're not, they're a pretty bad team. Like, they really are. They're a bad team when they're not hitting the home run. They can't play small ball. They can't manufacture runs. They brought in Andrew McCutcheon to possibly try and help that. Gardner is good at getting on base. Hicks is. But the rest of the lineup is just fly out, strike out, home run. That's their only options. If this team faces a great pitcher, they're pretty screwed. They showed that when they lost to Keuchel 2 years ago in the wild card. Are you confident that this lineup is going to show up in the wild card and then in a 5-game, 7-game series?
Yeah, I think they'll show up. You showed it last year. They just ran out of steam against the Astros. We had them on the ropes. I mean, yeah, we got a couple lucky long balls like Didi's, but at the end of the day, this Yankee team, there's no slump. We have an MVP. We have the Rookie of the Year. We have Gary Sanchez. We have, I was going to say Greg Bird next, but that doesn't matter. We have Didi Gregorius, Gleyber Torres, Andujar. What else do you need?
Yeah, when you look at it, it's dangerous, and it's, I don't know, it's a weird lineup that I think you could feel out when you go through them the first time. I think pitchers are kind of, all right, they go in there with their game plan. They understand how they have to throw to guys. They understand that they just have to pray with Aaron Judge because there's really nowhere you could throw that he can't hit it out. Everyone else there's a plan against. But you can feel them out. If they are not popping the ball off the bat or giving you hard outs within the first time through, I think pitchers settle in and they go, okay, I got them. They're not hitting tonight. Screw them. You know what I mean? Like, no one's scared after that.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
So it's a weird situation. I hope the bats really fire up. I hope what CeCe did fires them up because, man, if I saw that happen, I hope they champagne showered him. Which, can we talk about that? All right, hold on. I'm going to go on to an aside.
Shower?
Why the hell is there a champagne shower for everything? It is useless now. There's no, like, it doesn't mean anything anymore. It's stupid. Oh, we made the wild card, champagne shower. Oh, we made the playoffs, champagne shower. We won the division regular season, champagne shower. We won game 1, champagne shower. Like, stop. Stop with all the champagne showers.
You know what? That's just not people with teams that are used to winning.
Yeah, but the Yankees do it, and the Yankees are used to winning. I think the MLB just signed a deal with champagne companies, and it was like, listen, you got to do it. You got to do it.
I want to say that's not true.
I don't know. Because it's I'm watching it, and
now, what kind of champagne is that, though?
It's probably high-end champagne. I don't think they're skimping. I wonder if the teams provide it themselves. That's like they're actually, like, because you got to think, like, if the Yankees do it, it's high-end stuff.
It has to be Dom Perignon.
Yeah, if the Yankees do it, it's great. But if the A's win, they're going to go down to the friggin' corner lot and buy it. They're not a Billy Bean with a friggin' Moneyball.
What do you mean? They celebrate with malt liquor.
They go. It's not champagne. It's Colt 45. It's Steel Reserve. They have brass monkeys.
They go out and get some Johnny Walker and call it a day.
Hey, don't you dare knock Johnny Walker.
Yeah.
Could you imagine though if you see them sitting there popping orange juice, pounding a little bit of a 45, throwing the top on and making a brass monkey and pounding a brass monkey as their celebration? Like that would be that whoever that is would be my favorite player. If there's any kids listening here, don't drink alcohol.
Nah, drink alcohol. It's fun.
Yeah, the college kid says that. He could say that easily. All right, so Yankees, it's weird. I'm going to close off with the Yankees. Where's your confidence level? Because I really can't judge mine right now. How confident are you?
5.
5 out of 10?
Yep. I don't know what to think, so 5.
So, for Yankees fans listening, that's a really good number coming out of Matt Santos. Because normally he's like a 1 in everything, so that's really good.
Felt better than I did last year.
Exactly.
Felt better than I did 3 weeks ago.
So we're sliding onto someone who I think we're both pretty friggin' pumped about. This man has gone through the most crap out of any athlete I've seen and come back well to have arguably a top 3 season, and it's the quietest top 3 season Tiger Woods has ever had. The guy, he didn't have the wins on there, but his finishes were great. His contention numbers were unbelievable. And he was a birdie putt on 18 from being the FedEx playoff champion. He got his first win at the Tour Champion, the final leg of the playoff. First win since 2015. Looked great doing it. What do you make of the season Tiger had and the win that he had?
I hope you get used to seeing red sweaters on Sunday, my friend. The Tiger's back.
Hell yeah.
Tiger is back. He couldn't even hit the green in the BMW Championship. He couldn't hit the green on the last day. And he was birdieing and parring. His mid-game and his short game are exquisite from the last 6 months, I'd say.
Which is weird because typical Tiger was a driving monster. Like old Tiger, his driver was the best part of his game. And I think his back and his fusion has turned his swing so much that he's just become a technician, which he always was, but he was reliant on, all right, this is a par 5, I'm turning this into a par 3 off my drive. And that was his game, and he was so good at that. He really was. He was great at that. That's what Dustin Johnson does now. He doesn't have a great mid or short game, but the difference was Tiger had a great driver, and he also had the best mid and short game. Now he just still has the best mid and short game, and his driver is top. It's top tier, but it's not great.
No, it's not. Brooks Koepka, I don't know how that guy hits the ball so far.
Brooks Koepka, to me, is annoying. He only shows up in the majors.
Don't like his face.
It's just, for me, I can't trust a guy that doesn't show up at all the rest of the season. Like, I get it. In Tiger's best year, he only played half the season, won half the tournaments he played during half that season, including, I think, 3 majors. He was unbelievable. He didn't play much. But if you're not... Brooks Koepka plays a lot, and he doesn't win unless it's a major. And I get it. Majors are massive. But I can't call you the next face of golf unless you're showing up other times.
I don't even know who is the next face of golf.
There isn't. Everyone that stepped up has floundered. Rory, Rose, Spieth, Day, Dustin. We can go on with the list of guys that have been crowned the next Tiger Woods, and he's not there. These guys aren't better than Phil in his heyday, or Sergio.
There's never going to be another Tiger Woods.
No, just like Tiger isn't Jack. Tiger isn't Arnold Palmer. Tiger's not Gary Player. These other unbelievable guys that came before them, they're all individual dudes that were great in their own right.
I don't think, this is a little bit of a side tangent, but I don't think golf players appreciate Arnold Palmer enough. If it wasn't for him, you wouldn't see those cameras. You wouldn't get what they got. He changed the sport of golf as far as media coverage forever.
Without a doubt. But, he came on the unfortunate part where he was great at a time where Jack Nicklaus was gaining steam. And he brought the media there, but then Jack Nicklaus just encompassed it with his greatness. So it was an overshadowing, in essence.
Jack Nicklaus doesn't have great iced tea lemonade. So
he does not. He's not the bear. He isn't.
No, he is not. Big fish, Arnold Palmer.
Yeah, but but Arnold Palmer, if you are a golf guy, you give him his due. If you understand the game of golf, you understand just how unbelievable he was. And there's so many great players that because they're not Jack Nicklaus, Tiger Woods, that don't get... Because we're going to look back and we're going to look at guys like Sergio Garcia and Phil Mickelson, and me and you in our heyday are going to be like, they're awesome. They were great golfers. They just weren't Tiger. Sergio got his long-awaited major. It took him long enough.
It was supposed to be him and Tiger, though.
And but I already said, I forget who I was talking to on the podcast, but now that Tiger's revitalized, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Phil and Sergio just also get revitalized. And these 3 are probably going to have a renaissance next year where...
Oh, Phil should just retire.
Phil does Phil things, and he's the guy.
Have you seen him at the Ryder? Yeah, he's been doing a lot of Phil Mickelson things.
And the Ryder's always interesting because I think it's such a weird thing because there's the pressure of winning for your country, but there's also the looseness because the grind is over. The playoff is over. The regular season of the PGA is over, and the Ryder Cup is just for fun and pride. Like, they're serious. These guys love it. But Phil's been to how many? Tiger's been to, Tiger is pumped to be there because I know he's the captain's pick, but damn, Tiger earned it. He earned his spot on that Ryder Cup.
Yeah.
And, and I'm looking at the group for the United States and the Ryder Cup. Furyk as a captain.
Terrible.
They're not, the group of names should be better between Furyk, Kuchar, Love II, Johnson, just as the captains right there. And then Ricky Fowler is easily the most disappointing superstar in golf I've ever seen. I'm getting tired of Ricky Fowler. The kid has all the talent on the planet. He really does. And he just, I don't know what the hell, why he can't put it together. But it's just, you look at the names that are on this team. Dustin Johnson, who's arguably still the best player in the world.
It is inexcusable, Alex.
Arguably still the best player in the world. Brooks Koepka, the major guy. Patrick Reed's a talented player. Webb Simpson's had his time in the light. Bubba Watson could hit the ball a mile. Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth, DeChambeau, Finau. They're both captain's picks along with Woods, like Phil you mentioned. This team should be unbelievable. This should be the best Ryder Cup team America's had in a long time. And I don't get it.
Oh, the Yankees are beating the Red Sox 8-0.
Oh, I know. They're whooping their butt. And I'm looking at the European side. We're going to talk about them, too. They have a good team, though. Patrick Harrington, Graham McDowell, Lee Westwood, Luke Donald, the vice captains. Bjorn is the captain. Fleetwood's there. Sergio's there. Sergio's annoying. He doesn't go away. Molinari was a major champion this year. He earned that right. Rory's the most disappointing superstar in the history of golf. Ian Poulter, Justin Rose, Henrik Stenson. They're not a slouch group either. But I don't think they're as good as the Americans.
I don't know. They don't have any slouches on there.
They're good. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of big names, a lot of good talent. But that American group is, I think, the best combination of youth and veteran that we've ever had. Or at least in a really long time. And you have a Tiger playing like Tiger. And he's made some hits in this Ryder Cup. He's continuing his play. I don't know.
No, he had a bad day today, but...
Everyone has a bad day in golf. Yeah, it's been interesting, the Ryder Cup, but this is, I think for golf fans, if you're a true golf fan, again, you're into this. For the casual golf fans, this is just kind of icing on the cake. You pay attention to the Ryder Cup for SportsCenter because they make a big deal out of it, because it is a big deal. But for the most casual fans, they're not super paying attention to this. It's kind of icing on the cake for them in terms of golf.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to move on from Tigley, my man Tiger, Tigley. You remember when we coined that with Joe and David when they had young Tiger in that PGA?
Yeah,
Tigley. But we're sliding on because we have a lot to get through in this one, and this is a fun-filled podcast. We have a bunch to get through in a short amount of time.
How much more do we have?
Oh, we have a good amount still, and we still got we got plenty of time. We're doing good. Santos, we are doing good.
All right.
We're going to talk some football. We're going to jump on. We're both Jets fans. It's funny, Matt. We agree on so much, but we disagree on everything. Like, the only fandom I think we really disagree on is basketball. But besides that, we agree on most of our other sports teams. We're both City fans, even though you're a turncoat. Are you a Red Bulls fan too with me in terms of the MLS?
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
So
I'm a Red Bulls fan.
I don't know if you changed over to NYCFC because you have turncoat ways. But
no, that's what?
You're now a Juventus fan. Planting? You're now a Juventus fan because of Cristiano Ronaldo. But
I'm not. I never said that.
No, I'm not going to fault you. You've been a Ronaldo fan forever. So if you want to jump ship and follow him, I wouldn't blame you.
This isn't factual, any of this.
What's your favorite term to throw around the group? Fake fan?
Yeah, fake fan.
I just described Matt Santos.
Oh my!
No, Matt is a mega fan. He's not as bad as Joe. I love you, Joe Hackett, but Joe is like super homer. But Matt, one thing you'll find about Matt, I want Matt to make his own podcast called The Fake Fan, where he just rips people for their tendencies. Because if you're ever invited into our group, number one, you need to have thick skin. And number two, if we get on Sports Talk, you will just see Matt go on epic rants. And Matt's a stats psycho. So he'll shoot you with stats. And you'll just be like, dude, we were just talking about that home run. Why did you go crazy? Like, we'll talk about Gary Sanchez hitting a home run. I'll be like, that was a great home run. Yeah, it was great, but he's had this much OPS and this batting average over the last time. It's one home run. Screw him. It's like, wait, whoa, relax.
Yeah, he couldn't hit for shit earlier.
Exactly. I rest my case. Like,
right. And he still had the most RBIs.
I mean,
out of all the catchers.
His hitting talent is he's had a bad year, but the dude still is super talented with the bat.
We got to get rid of Aaron Boone.
I'm not going to get rid of him after a year. Joe Girardi was at a great team, but he was shaky his first 2-3 years as terms of a manager and his managerial style.
He won the World Series his first year.
His team won the World Series his first year. Let's be honest.
All right.
We could have won the first World Series with that team. Mariano Rivera, kidding me? He was at his peak of being a 2-inning closer. There is no such thing anymore. You can't ask a closer to get 6 outs anymore. Mo did it all the time like it was nothing.
I think we should have hired Donnie Baseball.
I mean, at Donnie Baseball, he's interesting. I wonder how he would have been. He wasn't, L.A. His time in L.A. wasn't amazing. He got ran out of there.
He doesn't like sabermetrics.
I mean, but the thing is, baseball's turning towards that.
You can't sell old guys on sabermetrics.
I mean, whatchamacall? Yeah, the Orioles are having a terrible year, but Buck Showalter is buying into it, and you can't argue that Buck Showalter is not a great manager, and he has been a great manager. He's kind of the Bobby Cox-esque type of manager, where he's really good, he's just not... I don't know if he's a Hall of Famer, but he's a really good manager.
Those were his championships. He just got fired.
Yeah. Hey, I'm not taking anything away from Torrey. Torrey was unbelievable. All right, so we're going to go on. We're moving on to football. We're backtracking here, Matt. This is what we do. We backtrack. We're moving on to football. We're both Jets fans. I'm going to talk about this. What is your impression after 3 games of the Sam Chiza savior, the one and only, the guy that's not named Mark Sanchez or Geno Smith, Sam Darnold?
We got to relax on this train. I mean, sure, he looks great. I want to believe it, but he makes a lot of rookie mistakes. Those interceptions were inexcusable that he threw against the Browns.
Now, it just comes to mind, though, Peyton Manning, and I get it. I'm not comparing him to Peyton Manning, but even Eli Manning, or a lot of these guys that come out in their first year, they don't look great. And we've been pampered by guys like Andrew Luck and Carson Wentz and certain guys that come out in their first year and are rockets. But it's not the typical. The typical guy needs a year of making a whole bunch of mistakes and the game moving at 1,000,000 miles an hour. And then the next year, they go back in the film room and training camp and everything is now moving like the Matrix in slow-mo for them. I think we need to...
Yeah.
I like what I see in terms of his head. I like his resolve. We haven't seen a quarterback that throws an interception and walks off the field still with his head up. Mark Sanchez always looked like Winnie the Pooh and put his head down. Geno Smith always looked like he was about to cry. Like,
you're talking about the guy that said it wasn't that hard after his first preseason game.
Oh, my God. But, I don't know.
He said it wasn't that different.
Yeah, but it was preseason. He didn't know what he was getting into. The speed still wasn't there in preseason. He didn't know. He's just trying to show bravado. I think he's good for the New York media because he has enough bravado to be a guy, but not too much where people are going to run him off as cocky.
Should have got Baker Mayfield.
I like Baker, but we couldn't get him. He was picked first. What are we going to do?
Trade up.
We did already. And also, I'm going to pump the brakes on Baker. I like Baker, but it was one game. The Jets had no film on him. Jamal Adams even said they were not prepared for him. He was lightning in a bottle. The team was energized. Let's see the next few games when there's some film on him. Pump the brakes. Are you all right there?
How are we even supposed to know what to... They had no chance to know what they... You can't look at college film, especially from the Big 12. They all of them run a freaking spread offense.
The Big 12, my thing too is, though, that line blocked so much better for Baker Mayfield than it did for Tyrod Taylor. Because that whole team, you could see it. There was a pep in their step that wasn't there. All of a sudden, Baker came in the offense, and the routes were faster and crisper. The linemen snapped off the ball quicker and hit harder. No one blew an assignment. They played a clean half of football for Baker Mayfield. It was pretty unbelievable to watch.
They won the game.
Oh, without a doubt. They're down 14-0 and come back to win? Hell yeah, they won the game.
Yeah, they won the game. You can't take it away from Baker.
No, and you can't take it away from that team. And you know what? Baker's smart. What did he do? He went back there. He looked up. Is Jarvis Landry open? No. Is David Njoku open? Yeah. Let me throw it to him. Let me get it to my weapons. Like, he did the smart thing. Find the weapons and throw it to them. Tyrod is my first.
Tyrod was too afraid to take a risk.
And it's not the quarterback we saw in Buffalo. That's what I don't understand. Buffalo, he threw the ball a lot more, and he was a much better quarterback, not just runner. He did run, but he showed his arm off in Buffalo. He would hit Sammy Watkins on a deep route. He was comfortable with Robert Woods. He had guys that he threw the ball to, and it's weird because you look at him in Buffalo, he would go through his 3 progressions. He would stand in the pocket. In this Cleveland team, he would stand in the pocket. If first read wasn't open, he took off. It wasn't the same quarterback. I don't understand what they did to Tyrod in friggin' Cleveland.
I just think it's coming out that he's not that good. He has a better team around him, and I think he's the weak link now. Who were the Bills' receivers?
Not Tyrod Taylor, Sammy Watkins, Robert Woods. That was his 2 top guys.
Yeah, but that was a much younger Robert Woods.
Oh, Robert Woods has been one of my favorite receivers in the league since he came out of USC. I always thought he was going to be a great possession receiver, and he is.
Oh, he is. He's fantastic.
All right. I'm going to address an issue I have with the Jets. Their defense is playing extremely well, and they're giving the ball back to the Jets offense. But Jeremy Bates' play calling has been very, very uninspiring. His trick plays he calls at terrible times, and they're badly designed. And then he's very predictable. And he puts the Jets in terrible field position. And I think that's been the story for me of the Jets offense the first 3 games. I don't think they've started outside of their 25 because of a touchback yet. Maybe on a punt return they got a few good ones from Andre Roberts. But besides that, they've started at their 15, their 10, their 5, almost every single time for the first 3 games. What? Is it just Jeremy Bates needs to leave? Is he already done? Is his play calling that bad that we need to get rid of him?
I don't know. I am not that in depth of a football fan to really make. I mean, I should say not a football fan. I should say I don't understand the game enough at a high level to talk about if that's a good play call or not. Visually, I mean, it looks like shit, but I am not qualified to say. I've never played a day of organized football in my life.
We tried to make you a kicker for years.
Yeah, but I don't know. What's all the butt slapping and stuff?
You could have gotten a scholarship.
People make fun of soccer, but I've never slapped a guy's butt in soccer.
No, you just did each other's hair. Relax.
Yeah, frosted tips, man.
All right, and the last thing I have to say about the Jets, why the hell did Todd Bowles take the play calling from Casey Rogers? I thought the defense was fantastic. What the hell is Todd doing? Casey Rogers.
Todd Bowles wants some credit.
Casey Rogers has called 3 pretty damn good games. Yeah, they weren't prepared for Baker Mayfield to come in against the Browns, but that's also on you, Todd. You're supposed to be a defensive guy. You're probably in that defensive room making the game plan with Casey Rogers. Your play calls wouldn't have been any better. The team just got outplayed in the second half. That wasn't on Casey Rogers. That really pissed me off that the coordinator that he chose to go after was not Jeremy Bates but Casey Rogers. That pissed me off.
Yeah, but he's not going to call an offense. He's not an offensive coach. I mean, what are you supposed to do?
But you don't have to be an offensive coach to at least understand what's going on. Bill Belichick is a defensive guru, but he understands enough. Like, yes, he's graced with Tom Brady, who's unbelievable, but at the same time, he understands enough about the offense that if there's an adjustment that needs to be made, he has no problem going to his coordinator, Josh McDaniels, and saying, dude, do something different. This is what you need to do. This is what I'm seeing. Because one thing that, I played football. I coached a little. My uncle was a pretty damn good defensive coach over at Manchester Township High School. And my dad, my dad, he's not a big sports guy. But one of the things he always used to say to my uncle, because he used to talk to my uncle about football, he used to talk about offense, and my uncle used to be like, I'm a defensive guy. I don't do offense. And my dad would turn around and say, what makes you good about knowing defense? Because you understand what the offense is going to do to you. So don't give me this, you don't know offense. You have to understand offense in order to plan a good defense. So that's why this whole entire offensive-defensive thing pisses me off. Yes, they specialize in it, but you have to understand what the offense is going to do to you in order to create a good defense. So my dad's not a sports guy, but sometimes he's a logical man. It's very rare, but he spoke truth there.
That's true.
Dad, I love you. All right, anyway.
He's not listening to this.
We are going to jump into the fun stuff of the NFL. And it's named Patrick Mahomes. Holy shit,
quarterback
Santos.
in the league.
It's really scary. I don't know. We might have seen the second best quarterback, if not arguably the best quarterback in the league, with Jared Goff last night. He put on a show. He put on a show with Kirk Cousins in that Thursday night game. It was an awesome game.
He had a perfect passer rating.
Yeah. Jared Goff looks every bit the first pick that or was he first or second pick? We're one of those that were picked up. So I think he was first pick because everyone criticized the Rams for not taking Wentz, but he was great.
Yeah.
And he's been great all year. The Rams look like a Super Bowl favorite, but you can't deny what Patty Mahomes is doing. And also you can't deny what the beard Ryan Fitzpatrick are doing. What are your thoughts on Patty Mahomes and Ryan Fitzpatrick being complete surprises and Jared Goff coming into his own and showing that last year's great offensive play wasn't a fluke?
I think Patrick Mahomes, you can't even argue. I mean, the guy has 13 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 137.4 average passer rating, 66.7 completion rating. He has 896 yards already. It's only been 3 games.
Now, I don't want to poo-poo on him, but I do want to point out that they run an offense where they run a pseudo-jet sweep running in front of the quarterback in a shotgun. And he kind of's done, I think a few touchdowns have come off a little forward shovel to the receiver, which counts as a forward pass. Which to me is kind of bogus, just because the ball's going forward from the quarterback's hands in a shoveling motion. They count it as a pass. I'm kind of iffy, but he gets credit for passing touchdowns on that.
What are you splitting hairs? So what? Take away 2 touchdowns. So it's 11 touchdowns.
He doesn't have the record then. Haha.
What do you mean? They won by 11. They won by 5 against Pittsburgh, and then won by 10 against the Chargers.
Oh, listen. No, I mean the record in terms. I think he has like the most passing touchdowns for like 3 games. Definitely for a rookie or first year quarterback.
Yeah.
But I am splitting hairs. But he's been unbelievable. What are your feelings on Fitzpatrick? Because even though he had those 3 interceptions, they were all pretty much, you can account for why he threw all 3 of those in that second quarter. Yes, it was terrible. But then he came out and he almost won the game. And he's had 400 yards in 3 straight games. He looks like a monster. Deshaun Jackson looks like Eagles Deshaun Jackson. Mike Evans is not dropping the football for the first time in his career. What the hell is going... We need to test Fitz for PEDs. What's he doing?
I think he's just having a good run like he had in Buffalo and then he had with the Jets.
Now the dilemma
Some guys figure it out and then they lose it and then they get it.
When Jameis returns, what do you do? Do you ride Fitz until he ultimately becomes Fitz and screws up? Or do you kind of give the reins back to Jameis?
Why don't you just trade Jameis?
Who's going to take him with the off-field? Besides San Francisco, but San Francisco's not going to give you much for him. Who?
The Steelers.
I think they believe in Kyle Rudolph. They drafted him in the 4th round. I think they're trying to groom him as the next guy behind
Kyle
Big Ben.
Rudolph.
Not Kyle. Mason Rudolph. Isn't Kyle Rudolph a tight end?
Yeah, for the Vikings.
There you go. Hey, listen. I got the last name right. We're going to go back. This year has been a bizarre year in terms of football. The scores have been up and down. They've been everywhere. The teams have been doing crazy things. We talked about Fitz and the Bucks, Mahomes. Why has this year been so ridiculous in your eyes? What have you seen different?
There's no clear-cut favorite.
You don't think the Rams are the favorite right now?
Well, I guess, but I mean, how many people were saying that before the start of the season?
I think people had the Rams as a possible team. That they definitely had the tools to be great. Aaron Donald, they signed Sue. The offense was good last year. They were young.
I think people about all the staples. You don't know what you get with Tom Brady. You don't know the Steelers what kind of team they are.
Yeah, the staple teams are down.
Seattle's awful.
Obviously, Dallas isn't what they are.
Chargers were supposed to be a good team. They look.
I think the Chargers will still be right. Yeah, I think they'll still be good. Phillip Rivers is too good of a quarterback to let them be terrible.
Derwin James.
Scary. I like Derwin James. He's a monster.
Scary.
Florida State, baby. Florida State. Hey.
Who's even your favorite in the American League? in the AFC?
I mean, part of me wants to say the Chiefs, but I've seen this story with the Chiefs. I've seen this story with Andy Reid. I know Patty Mahomes is Alex Smith, but I've
but
seen the Chiefs be 10-1 and then finish 11-5. I've seen it happen. And that's something that's just in the water at Arrowhead. Like, I don't get it. I don't believe in the Jags just because I don't believe in Blake Bortles.
I don't believe in the Jags.
I like their defense, but I can't believe in them.
You're going to have to break that defense up in a few years.
It's weird, but because the AFC North is such a toss-up right now, because the Steelers don't have the stranglehold that they should have, the Bengals are inconsistent. They're talented, but inconsistent. And when Mixon comes back, we'll see what they can do.
Well, what's it called? Andy Dalton hasn't looked bad at all. Neither is AJ Green.
Oh, no, they're playing well, and they're just missing Joe Mixon because Giovanni Bernard can't run the ball like Mixon can. When Mixon comes back healthy, that offense is clicking again. But still, the jury's out on them.
Well, he's always been a receiving back, Bernard.
Yeah, he's a third down back. And the Browns are better, but they're not ready. I still think they can contend for a wild card if Baker comes out, but I don't think they're ready to really win much. It's setting up oddly for me, what I'm seeing, the way the Ravens are playing. Flacco has that look in his eye.
Yeah, Flacco's been tremendous. He actually has a receiver.
Yeah, he has a receiver finally. He has Crabtree. And then people forget Mike Wallace is on the other side. And Mike Wallace is good. He's still good.
Mike Wallace is not still good.
Listen,
Mike Wallace is still good at running straight.
In the right situation, Mike Wallace, and who was great there for Joe Flacco just running straight? Torrey Smith. They made a Super Bowl run out of it. Kidding me? They had Anquan Bolden being the tough possession guy, Michael Crabtree. Then they had Torrey Smith running skinny posts and fades. There you go.
That's true.
And then Alex Collins looks like a legitimate running back. So it's really a good situation for Flacco, and Flacco's pissed. Because everyone made a big deal out of freaking Lamar Jackson, and he's like, are you serious? I'm elite. I am elite. And I'm going to show it. I don't know. And he's also annoyed that Nick Foles took away his greatest playoff run of all time, because I think Nick Foles just stole it from him after last year. So Flacco's got things to prove now. So we might see, it's weird. It's setting up for the Ravens to really make a run, and that scares the hell out of me.
Nick Foles, best quarterback ever.
I can't stand Nick Foles. Friggin' Napoleon Dynamite. His true colors are showed this year, and I'm happy.
Nick.
Oh, my God. I can't stand him. Anyway, so I want to ask you. So we've seen some rules that one of the rules that is affecting the league right now, or one that we didn't see coming. We thought that the helmet rule was going to be a big issue in the NFL right now, and it really hasn't. We've seen some ejections. One of the main things that annoys me is we still haven't seen it called at all on the offensive players. We still haven't seen it called at all on the linemen, which was supposed to be an emphasis. We've only still seen it called against the secondary players, which is annoying, but it hasn't been the impact that we thought it was going to make. The impact rule has been roughing the passer. Clay Matthews has been destroyed the first 3 weeks over making form tackles on quarterbacks that changed the game. How do you feel about the rules and how they've been affecting the game?
I think it's affecting the game because defensive players don't know what they can and can't do now. But calling it on offensive players, I mean, when do you really see an offensive player do it?
Whenever a running back runs the ball and he's about to take a hit from a linebacker, he lowers the crown of his helmet. That should be a flag right there every single time.
Okay, well, what's he supposed to do?
Keep your head up, drop your shoulders.
And then he gets rocked.
Listen, if they're both leading the way they're supposed to lead, that's what they want in the league. And if you're going to make a big deal about it and you're going to call them defenseless.
But how are you taught to protect the ball?
You're taught to bring two arms over it, drop it. You're not taught to lower the crown of your head. Never. No one's taught that. You're taught to keep your head up so you can see where you're running.
True.
So if they're going to make that an emphasis, they allow running backs and receivers when they're running the ball to use their crown of their helmet as a weapon against a defender every time. And it's never called. So that always pissed me off. And they said they were going to try and make an emphasis on calling it, and they haven't. But
they definitely need to address it, but it's not an overnight fix.
No, the officials need to stop looking at it only for defenders. But the roughing the passer stuff, how are you annoyed by how it's been being called right now?
No, not really. I mean, I don't think it's any worse than it was last year.
Well, the whole entire burping the quarterback where you can't put your full body weight on him now, where we're seeing guys not putting their body weight on him, catching themselves and still getting called. Clay Matthews, perfect example.
But how do you fix it? They see it in real time. You can't stop the game every 5 seconds to check a hit.
I agree. I think you don't call it on a form tackle. I think below the knees is a good rule. You don't want to take a vulnerable guy and a quarterback out below the knees. Don't hit him in the helmet. That's fine. But if you're doing a form tackle, shoulder to the gut, head to the side, drive, that's a tackle. He's a football player. Let the quarterbacks play.
Yeah, no. I agree.
I hate the softness, and a lot of defenders are now coming out and calling out the league, and the league's going to find some people, but they're going to have to figure something out. They're probably going to tell their officials to back off a little bit.
Probably. I mean, there's so many problems with the NFL right now.
Yeah, it's a weird... but you know what, though? The worst part is, and this is the best thing for the NFL, there's so many problems, but we still can't get enough, and we're still going to watch every game. The product is still going to make money.
Yeah, it is. The ratings are down, though.
Yeah, the ratings are down, but everyone is still light years away from them with ratings being down. Like, it's bizarre. And with guys like Patty Mahomes coming up, and if Jared Goff is good and the offense can get better and Wentz is good, and if Darnold gets good and Baker gets good, the ratings are going to shoot.
That would be a fun Super Bowl, the Chiefs and the Rams.
It would be interesting. I could see the Rams finishing it off, but I don't know if I trust the Chiefs even getting there. I really don't. So
Can't hate the Chiefs. Best team ever.
I don't hate them. They're a fun team. I like Arrowhead. I think their scoreboard's awesome with that big circle board. But in this current history, like since I've been alive, the Chiefs have always been that really good team that can't. Like that
just can't.
That just can't. They get in their own way every single time.
That is fair.
They had the greatest tight end in the history of football and couldn't win with them. Like, throw that there. Tony Gonzalez, the greatest tight end ever to play the game. And they only went so far.
No, Wayne Charbet.
Wayne Charbet's a possession receiver. Are you out your mind?
No, I'm trolling.
You're tripping. All right, speaking of a whole entire friggin' university that's tripping. The State University of New Jersey, not Seton Hall, which is the best athletic programs in New Jersey, Rutgers. This year was supposed to be a big step in the right direction. Chris Ash was in his third year. They got the quarterback in Arthur Sikowski. They have, their defense is always pretty damn stout. It has been for years. They have weapons. Their line should have been improved. This was supposed to be a team that has taken it to the next level and is starting to compete in the Big Ten. Instead, they're probably the worst team in Division One. What the hell? I think they're the worst team in Division One football. They just lost. They didn't just lose to Buffalo. They got taken apart by Buffalo.
It was 36. It was 35-6.
Dismantled
at halftime against Buffalo, who play in the MAC.
And the issue is,
wait, Alex. What conference is Rutgers in?
Apparently a Power 5.
And who are the top teams in that conference?
Oh, playoff contenders. Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan, Minnesota, Wisconsin.
What about Buffalo?
I mean, Buffalo is trying to get into the Division 1 AA tournament.
So that's why we lost 42-13 to them.
Yeah, because, their guys are probably...
Buffalo didn't even have to try the second half.
And they didn't.
In the backups.
It's disgusting to lose to Kansas and then to Buffalo.
Oh.
Kansas is one of the worst programs typical year out. They're a basketball school. It's embarrassing because they always tell Rutgers, the birthplace of college football. It should be the...
Rutgers gave up 450 yards of total offense to Buffalo.
I don't understand it. And and it's tough because Kevin Malice, one of my really good buddies, played at Rutgers during their heyday with Ray Rice, Brian Leonard. Green was there on defense. They had a ridiculous talent. Great talent. under Greg Schiano, who they need to hire back. And it's just,
Kansas put up 544 yards against them.
And I think Giovanni Resigno started this game. I think they pulled Arthur Sitkowski already. Like, how are you going to pull? You started a redshirt freshman in one of the toughest conferences in football. You had to expect he was going to be bad. You had to.
Yeah.
So to pull him out this early for a fifth-year starter who's never been good, what are you saying? What are you saying as a coach?
I think Rutgers is past this point of that we could fix.
I don't know if it's past
the
the point
that... You have to redo the whole program. They can't even get kids in their own state.
Yeah, it's pretty...
All of them go to Penn State or Ohio State.
If you look at the guys, Quentin Nelson, Notre Dame. I think Jabril Peppers was New Jersey. Who else? There's plenty of other guys that are... Noshawn Moreno is a perfect example. He went over to Georgia instead of staying home. Donald Brown went to Connecticut. Connecticut over Rutgers. Gazecki went to Penn State. Our very own Robert Planner didn't go to Rutgers. I mean, it's pretty embarrassing when you think about it that you're supposed to be a big-time program and you can't even keep the second-tier guys to stay. You can't take them.
No, they're awful.
Their farm consists of Don Bosco Prep, which is a much better team than they are individuals.
I think Don Bosco Prep could beat them.
There's a pretty good chance that they could definitely at least give them a run for their money at this point.
Definitely be a close game.
Matt, do you realize that my two favorite teams in college football are absolutely terrible right now? I have no college football.
Shit show.
Florida, Willie Taggart needs to go back to the Pac-10, Pac-12, whatever the hell it is.
Willie Taggart needs to go back to, where did he start out at?
I don't know. He was in Oregon for a while.
Nah, who was that? Was it Louisville, right?
I don't know, but it's just, Florida State is a typical power team. They don't do, the quarterbacks get under center. Yes, they run shotgun. Quarterbacks get under center, though. You have Cam Akers back there. Cam Akers is one of the better running backs in the nation, and you can't figure out a way to run the ball with him? Are you kidding me?
We need more pro-style offenses in college football.
Everyone's going to that spread because it's throwing the ball 1,000 times a game. And the issue is because they're making the rules so easy to throw and score. So why wouldn't you?
That's true.
The ball control teams don't win games anymore. It's even you look at Ohio State. Ohio State's out of the shotgun most of the time, and I usually associate Ohio State with toughness. They're out of the shotgun constantly.
How are you gonna? My question is, how are you gonna suspend Urban Meyer for having a forgetful memory?
How are you gonna suspend Urban Meyer for not being that nagging neighbor that's in everybody's business? Bottom line is, unless he saw it, unless there was visual evidence, pictures sent, and she physically said to the Myers, I need you to go to the police for me. What the hell were they going to do? How much worse would it have been if Urban Meyer would have called the cops on his then wide receivers coach? The cops would have went to their house, and then they denied everything. And it's egg on Urban Meyer's face. Because he's just being an idiot. And now it's going to be a big issue. Zach Smith's going to quit. He's going to sue Urban Meyer for this and that, defamation. And he was in a tough position. Was he stupid for not admitting to it? I don't think
it should go straight to the institutions.
Agreed. And you know what? Does he have a forgetful memory? No. He knew what he was doing when he denied it. He didn't want to get involved.
That was a forgetful memory.
Yeah, he just didn't want to get involved. He thought it was going to get swept under the rug. He was stupid for that. But the whole entire, and the thing is, it's funny. The one that knocked some sense into me about this one, Matt, was my sister. I was talking to her about it, and she's like, dude, if somebody heard something or I said something or this and that, and someone sent the cops to my house without it being asked, and I denied it, they look stupid or whatever. If you do that, you look like an idiot. Urban
Meyer was thinking about himself first,
without a doubt. But he was thinking about this guy because this guy.
Hey, it's not his job. It's not his job to make sure his coaches do the right thing.
But he also was indebted to Zach Smith's grandfather is one of his mentors. He's an Ohio State legend. So it's something there. But yeah, it's not It's not anybody's job to meddle in somebody else's business unless they are asked to. And from all indications, Zach Smith's fiance at the time, wife, whatever, I don't know exactly what she was, just told Urban Meyer's wife about things that happened. Didn't say, I need help. Didn't say, call the cops. And I know people are going to look into this and listen and go, well, she cried for help. I don't know. It happened in 2009. They went to trial and she dropped all charges.
If they knew that much, why wouldn't, if it was that bad, why wouldn't they say something?
Why wouldn't they say something? But also, you don't...
They were friends. They were friends, no? Zach Smith's wife and Urban Meyer's wife. They were considered friends?
They were friends, but you have to remember, years ago, this went to trial, and then the fiance dropped all charges. So it's like, what do you believe? What's going to happen? If you go ahead and...
I don't know.
It's a sticky situation.
That's why the NCAA only gave him 4 games.
Because it's a lose-lose. If he doesn't say anything, this happens. He says something and they deny it. He loses a friend. He loses a coach. And, you know, he looks like a meddling idiot. It was a lose-lose. Awesome way to end the podcast, Matt. All right. So with that concludes this episode of the Sports Opinions Podcast. I am your host, as always, Alex Cuesta. Find me on Twitter and Instagram at @A_Cuesta30. Find Sports Opinions on Twitter at SportsOpinion30, on Instagram at SportsOpinions30. Visit the Facebook page and listen on anywhere you can listen to podcasts: Spotify, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, YouTube, Google Play Music, Amazon Music. Just go search Sports Opinions Podcast on any of those. You'll see the logo. It'll pop up. Matt, thanks for coming. Again, where can people find you?
Thanks for having me, Alex. You can find me at Santos _ on Instagram and at M_Santos7 on Twitter. I hope everyone has a good night.
Absolutely. Again, thanks everyone for listening. This was the Sports Opinions Podcast. Have a good one.